So let's begin this forum with a reminder of our shared values and our mission. We have claimed as our shared values mindful interdependence, authentic curiosity, and courageous love. We have declared that the mission of the MSUS community of all ages is to celebrate and actively examine faith, challenging one another with loving kindness to be our best selves and work for a flourishing world. So may these values and this mission statement guide us as we create our future. Today's agenda is pretty simple. We're going to provide you an overview of the search process with a little background, and then we'll have time for your reflections. So after hearing of Reverend Laura's resignation, we started learning about our options, and we went to work assembling a search team. And let's give credit where credit is due. Katie started a lot of this. As you can see, she is wearing her ministerial search.
Right now, I have my tech team hat.
This is the tech team hat. So just note the hats.
Engineer. This is, and now I have my board hat on.
Here's the board hat.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So the board appointed 2 board members to the team who then had the authority to fill out the rest of the team. So that was me and Katie. And so on the team, we also brought on Kathy Burek, who is here today taking notes, and then Kevin Sitter and Lori Gadza, who are unfortunately not able to join us for today. Our team represents at least some of the diversity in the congregation, so diversity of age, sexual orientation, life experience, church experience, and a few different family situations. A number of you did reach out to express a willingness to help, and thank you. Besides the search team, there will be other ways to support this transition, and the many, many other things that are going on in our congregation right now. So right now, the search team is working on creating a congregational profile in the UUA system to describe our congregation to potential candidates. So this goes online in their search portal. There's a form guiding us about what to present, and folks from the UUA Transitions Office and Mid-America region will give us feedback, which is awesome. They are very supportive, and it's wonderful to have that guidance. We don't have to make this up from nothing. We want to go live with our full profile in early March. The search team is responsible for reviewing candidate information, deciding which candidates to dismiss and which to invite into further conversation. The search team will identify a candidate from the pool and recommend them to the board for hiring, and the board will handle any negotiations to finalize the specifics of the job requirements and final compensation.
But nobody can see me, so. All right. So, no, I don't have to change my hat. I have my board hat on. All right. So I'm Katie. And just people online maybe can only see the slides and not the speakers right now, so that's why I'm saying that. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about the board decisions that have happened and that have to happen still in regard to this. So I'm wearing my board hat still for this. So we had to answer a couple questions. Do we hire a new minister? We said yes. What percentage of time? That took a little bit more thought, but we ended up deciding that we are going to continue with a full-time minister. We think that a supportive minister will be an asset as we continue making our way through all the changes that are already in progress, and less than full-time would curtail a minister's ability to kind of be all in as we're making all these changes. The next question is, what is the start date? And that is set at August 1st, 2024. These 2 questions, the percentage of time and the start date, are the 2 things we needed in order to make our profile live. So right now we already have a live teaser up there on the jobs board for ministers who might be searching, and that's all they know. Then the other question we had to answer was whether or not to follow the UUA guidelines and move into a year at a time contract ministry. And the answer there is yes. Let me see. Do I have notes more about that? And so just to give a little background on that, this going into a contract ministry, essentially a year at a time type of ministry, is recommended for our size congregation because it's a lower cost and less volunteer time than a settled minister search. Even if we do want to move into a settled minister search, we wouldn't be doing that now because we wouldn't have time to put it all together. So that is kind of a decision that is still perhaps a little bit out there. But it's also important to know that before Reverend Laura came, in between Dana and Reverend Laura, we used an interim minister, which is in essence also a contract minister hired by the board. And a key difference between a formal interim minister and a contract minister who could last more than, who could be with us for a few years because we can renew the contract. But a contract minister, we could call a contract minister to be our formal minister. So it acts as potentially kind of a little bit of that search process. But a formal interim minister, we couldn't call that person to be our minister. So that's really the difference between those two types of ministry. You can go to the next slide. So the big thing that the board is still working on is what compensation we are able to offer. And we need to have something about compensation in the formal complete jobs posting that we post. So these are related to each other. We will provide in our job posting a minimum amount we're willing to pay, and we have to be able to stand behind that. And then if we define a range of possible benefits packages, then the board has space to negotiate around what is that final pay amount, what are the final benefits. And so we want to be in line with the UUA fair compensation guidelines. We want to be attractive to enough candidates to find one, and also be irrespective of our other financial goals. And this is a topic of our upcoming board meeting, and so we'll also be talking about like if and how this minister compensation decision is going to affect other budget decisions. So that is, like I said, that's what we're still working on, the next big decision of the board that also feeds into the search. So now people online don't get the benefit of seeing me switching hats. I'm switching into my search team hat. Can they see me? So I'm not on the board for the moment for the rest of this meeting. I'm on part of the search team, but I'm also going to hand it over to Anna to lead this part.
So we have had a lot of congregational forums as we've explored selling our building, making offers on other buildings, strategic planning, changing our name. From these, the board and search team are pretty well informed of congregational thinking. I think the benefit of having so many changes right now is that we've had to do a lot of sort of soul searching. We're working at a pretty fast pace. So today we're going to focus on a few questions that we think will give us important congregational insights particular to this item. So today we're asking specifically about things you think we maybe need more of. Nope, hold on. Things you think, yeah, more of. During this past ministry that's ending with Reverend Laura, and then things that we maybe needed less of. We all know that each person has areas where they are more or less proficient and areas of greater or less interest. So to the best of our ability, we want to match our next minister's strengths to our needs at this time, just as we had identified Reverend Laura as having the qualities we needed when we called her as our minister. So in case it helps you feel more comfortable saying these things, I want you to know that Reverend Laura is not here in person or online for the forum. Chad was already scheduled to preach today, and Laura has the day off. So please be candid, because this information, the more honest we can be, the better prepared the ministerial search team can be for evaluating candidates. All right, so these questions are on bits of paper that were on the chairs, but I will also read them for those who are online, and I think someone may put them in chat. They are already there. Thank you, tech team. So the questions are, I wish considering these past 7.5 years with Reverend Laura, how would you finish these statements? I wish the congregation had more, ... And I wish the congregation had less, ... Or how might we wish to shift the emphasis in our programming and activities? And where might we wish for continuity? I also want to add, based on the wise insights of Kathy in an email that I read this morning, what do we want to hold on to? Like what has been present? So it's not necessarily letting go of or adding on, but what do we want to keep? I think that's an important thing to think of too.